Moves agreeing to a one-year deal with former Detroit guard Tim Hardaway Jr. and trading for Jonas Valanciunas from the Sacramento Kings for Dario Saric. Here are all the moves that Denver has made since free agency has started. They traded Michael Porter Jr. to the Nets for Cam Johnson. That freed up money for them to bring back Bruce Brown, a key member of their 2023 championship run. David, has Denver done enough to support the Joker?
Absolutely. I think Denver right now, they last year, of course, took OKC to Game 7, and the reason they lost, they ran out of players. They ran out of depth. They could not even get really 4 guys on the court. Now they've added Cam Johnson, who I think is a better player than Michael Porter, especially with that contract, and they've added depth, which is something that they've missed. And the Tim Hardaway Jr. aspect of this is so underrated. Dude shot 63% on open spot-up threes. How many more of those threes do you think he's going to get with Jokic on the court? This team has gotten pretty much the stuff that they need, and Jokic, of course, is the wild card. They are as tough a competitor of OKC as there is in the West. This is the stuff that I think that would make Jokic want to come back.
Tim?
I mean, Denver has added some okay veteran role players, and the sad state of affairs with the Nuggets the past couple of years is that some okay role players might be enough to lift them over the finish line. That's how poor their bench has been, and that's how inevitable Nikola Jokic is. I mean, this is a team that lost in Game 7 in each of the last 2 Western Conference semifinals after winning the title, blowing a 20-point lead to Minnesota 2 years ago, and then losing, obviously, a blowout in Game 7 to the Thunder. But they were up in Game 4 of that series in the fourth quarter. If they win that game, I think Denver goes on to win the title. I think if they win that Game 7 against Minnesota, they go on to win the title. Instead, they lose those 2 games. They're sitting here having not made it out of the second round each of the past 2 years. And now they've gone out and gotten an okay backup center, a couple of okay wings. We'll see if Bruce Brown can get back to how he was in Denver. Tim Hardaway Jr. is an okay shooter, but there's a reason he's bounced around a bunch. And Jonas Valanciunas at this point is, again, an okay backup center. But this is a team that did not have any depth at all, and now they have some. Now, I do think the upgrade or the alleged upgrade from Cam Johnson over Michael Porter Jr. as part of that trade is also a little muted. I would say those guys are very similar players, and the reason that Denver made that trade and gave up the one asset they have going forward, their 2032 first-round pick, is because it saved the Cronkies $1 gazillion in tax payments as a repeater tax team. It gets them out of the luxury tax this season. But if you look at Denver now, they are marginally better than they were last year, and marginally better might be good enough because they have the best player on the planet on their team, and him with a little bit of help could very well be enough to get the Nuggets their 2026 NBA title.
Wendy, by going from Porter Jr., obviously, to Cam Johnson, they saved the 16-17. They stay out of the tax, but they're also able to add a few players. Is that enough for Denver?
This has been such a polarizing reaction as I've talked to people in the league, because really on one hand, some depth to this roster that they just were so badly needed, and they've given new coach David Adelman something that Michael Malone didn't feel he had. Whether he did or not was the basis of the argument between him and the former general manager Calvin Booth. But options. You know, he's now can look down his bench and he can go with more veteran players or the younger players they're developing. But the reason this is polarizing is that a lot of people think that this is not going to really help them. When I say people, I'm talking about like rival executives. So like they say, if you want to ever have a dream of prying Nikola Jokic out of Denver, you've got to be happy that they used their prime last, big trade chip, which Bontemps referenced, the 2032 pick, in a money dump move. Like I had somebody say to me, if you're the Lakers, you'd love seeing that, because that means that you're not helping Jokic with like a bona fide star. I got other people saying, oh man, Valanciunas is the best backup that Jokic has ever had. It's like since Yusuf Nurkic was there, like it's terrific for him. I got other people telling me, and again, these are the pros. This is their job. This is not my opinion. Okay, other people saying Valanciunas won't even play in the playoffs, so they can rest during the season. Won't even play in the playoffs. So. The idea that they're a winner or a loser, like I've seen a lot of people say that the Nuggets are like, oh, huge winner in the the people who are in the league are not sure about that. So, some of them think this is, long-term not going to be great. What I say is I have a sensitivity towards their new front office, Ben Tenzer and John Wallace, who just got these jobs. Both of them are inexperienced in these roles. And they clearly had a mandate. They had a mandate from Jokic, who said we need more depth. And they had a mandate from ownership, which was we ain't paying that repeater tax. And they were able to deal with those two mandates in an inexperienced position and potentially satisfy both, giving Jokic some depth, which, as Bontemps mentions, even a little bit is a major difference with a talent like Jokic. And they've got their bosses happy that they got him off a bunch of money.
I mean, the other thing to mention, too, when you talk about Denver and you talk about the using the pick to get off of money, they've traded several picks during the Nikola Jokic era over the past 8 or 10 years. One time did they use a pick to truly make an upgrade to the roster. That's when they traded for Aaron Gordon, which turned out to be the move that won them a title. Virtually every other time they've moved a first-round pick, it's been to save money. And it does really make you think, what if Denver had been able to use those picks to go out and get further upgrades to the roster? We could be talking about a situation where maybe they've won multiple championships over this stretch. Instead, they have not. They've come close several times. They've made second, third round of the playoffs on a few different occasions, but they haven't ever been able to quite get over the line, in part because they haven't had a lot of depth. And the one time they did win in 2023, they did have enough depth. They did have Bruce Brown playing at a very high level. They had Jeff Green playing at a high level. And now, if you look at them, we'll see if they can get back to that point next year.
I think on the macro level, the big question here to simplify this is this team took OKC to Game 7. They probably should have won that series in Game 4. Are they better than they were then? I think they are. And if Jokic has just a little bit better than they had when they were competing with OKC, he has as good a shot as anybody to carry a team to a championship.
So, Wendy, are they better, though, than Houston as the biggest threat to OKC? Is it Denver or is it Houston?
In my view, it's Denver because of number 15. Because this guy, it's amazing anybody can beat him 4 out of 7. And it's obviously happened the last 2 years. I watched the guy, and, I voted for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander this year, and I was very, I don't regret it. But I felt bad about it because watching what Jokic does is so amazing. And watching what it takes to beat him in these playoff series is so amazing. And really, as David referenced there, we are really a narrow path away from having the Nuggets having gone to the finals 3 years in a row. Because I believe if they don't blow Game 7 last year against Minnesota, with all due respect to Luka, I think they're winning that series and getting to the finals. And I don't know what happened against Boston, because Boston was 0-2 against them in the regular season. And this year, the Thunder won the title, okay? They were far and away the better team, and they were in deep trouble against the Nuggets, and had just one or two little things gone a different way in Games 4 and 5. I don't know. So it's not a commentary on Houston, who I think has been on an organizational hot streak. It's an ode to the big man.
Well, Paul Feinbaum had a comparison for Arch Manning that turned heads. Now he's here to stand on business. Feinbaum in rare form coming up. Plus, the East has more questions than answers right now. Which team are we highest on at the moment?
Xin chào tất cả các bạn đã quay trở lại kênh YouTube của mình. Mình hiện làm người làm video sáng tạo nội dung trên nền tảng YouTube nha các bạn. Mình sẽ sáng tạo những video hướng dẫn cắt dán cho các bạn này. Đây là những sản phẩm của mình.